Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Age of the Ring mod. Yep, not Edain, because I've had quite a few problems trying to record an Edain mod video today. Normal skirmish battles, custom maps, mission battles that the Edain mod have given, that provide you. Every game, crash, 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 crash. And I'm sick of it. So we're going back to Age of the Ring. Not sure how long it's going to be. Likely until the Edain team bring out a new patch to fix all the errors. Because I have no problem with Age of the Ring. Don't have any problem with vanilla. It's just Edain. So for now, we're back to Age of the Ring, and I realised before I'm making this, I never actually did a Guldur overview. I never actually played a game of Guldur and explained everything about them. I mean, to be fair, I didn't say it the same with Rivendell and such. But we'll get to all of them, maybe. But yeah, Guldur. Obviously, I'm a bit late on the overview, but is a very unique faction in many ways. For one, you start with 4 builders, which is very crazy. Also, we're on the 7th deep, so no trees, but we don't have lumber mills, so we don't really care. Just realising we're on a 1,000 command points start, 1,000 resources start, so it's going to be an interesting start. Should probably get the Guldur jail.
What is this?
So, what's so special about our builders? Well, we get 4 of them. Well, they vanish upon summoning a structure. They are called the Tethered Shades. When I'm looking close at them, they are really well detailed. But yeah, after they built something, they're gone. They're dead. They're not coming back. And that is how she wrote it. And you may be wondering what this little aura is around here with the Mask of the Necromancer. Well, we'll get into that when we create our first unit. The Broken Rabble. I don't tend to make too many of them because they are very... I prefer the Orc Jailers. Because they are just better in most situations. And they cost less when making the slave mills. Provides misery as a resource bonus. Yeah, we're not harvesting apples like in Lardris. We're not graining crops in farms. We are using we're tormenting the slaves within, and their misery is our resource. Oh yeah, now builders cost 100 because again they are they die upon being created. So yeah. Then we have the Ruinous Tower, which is our tower, obviously, but it's a bit different. Again, very cheap, 150. But you need to actually pay for the upgrade for it to actually shoot arrows. Because otherwise, it's just a new place to build your Tethered Shades from. And yeah. It also mentions in the description here, Dark Presence. Empowers nearby Guldur units, counters slow decay and buffs armor and damage by 15%. So not only is it stopping units from dying, it's also making them stronger. So again, another reason why you should always build them. Speaking of, I see a building we should make.
Let us go.
So yeah, this is the slow decay ability, which was mentioned in the Dark Presence. Units suffer from a basic, constant damage over time effect due to Necromancer's magic draining them and their surroundings. Dark Presence counters this damage and buffs units. And this this works on the Orc Jailers, the Broken Rabble, and your Orc Hunters. So your starting 3 units can't really leave your base, because if they do, then they die. Slowly. And painfully.
Guldur controls this structure.
And this is just a work pit. Generates extra resources. So it's just another nice thing that the Age of the Ring team have made. What's over there? Oh, just a wall that's been patched up. Send the shade over there to get some things sorted. I wonder what's taking the AI so long. I'm going to use Don't Follow the Light, which is one of our first powers, which summons a Tethered Shade, which is a permanent summon, but upon its destruction, it all units will suffer a large reduction to vision and a stun for a short time. So our enemy is building things. Oh, and instantly died. So I'm guessing the fortresses around here. And we're making good money, so we are going to get Krimpol the Torturer. You know, that one orc that just got instant bitch slapped by Galadriel. Oh, here we go. They're attacking now. Let's get some orc hunters and jailers. Oh no, they're stealing our building. Yeah, Dunedain are annoying. You need to be careful of what formation they're in. Obviously, to the AI, them giving them bows. Oh no, they start with bows, right? Oh, did our building not get made? It did not get made. Something destroyed it. Something destroyed our shade before it got to do what it needed to do. That's not good. So that means something over there is a problem.
We are not wanted here.
Yeah. Overall, in the early game, the shades aren't that bad to have because obviously you kind of make a bit of money back. Not having to worry about your builders and such. But in the late game, if you lose your buildings a lot and you keep paying for more shades and you don't protect your shades, you're losing a lot of money. So you really do have to micromanage them a bit. I'm going to build another Ruinous Tower here. Oh yeah, they also generate resources if you wanted to know. And next we're going to build a barrow. A Relentless Barrow even. Which is our other defensive building, which... Oh no, we didn't build it. Oh no, that's a different building. Different location.
What manner of fool contests our might?
Some more Tether Shades. Let's get the Spire of Sorcery. Build it here, so it can't be... So it can be valuable. And then... build another Ruinous Tower up here. Yeah, one thing to know about Guldur is, like most Age of the Ring factions now, they are a defensive turtley faction in the beginning. The AI kind of circumvents that by being the AI, but in general, you should not be expanding out from your base in the beginning. You should be staying, camping in your base because it's the one place you're safe. You're trying to attack the enemy base. You saw how long that unit of cavalry took to kill off one of our buildings, where in vanilla they could probably do that in half the time.
They will regret coming here.
Oh,
More ruins.
it's just a normal, troops. Okay.
They are stealing our structure.
What we should get next is something to deal with those Dunedain while they're still in their bow stance. And luckily, we've still got one building we haven't showed off yet. More recruitment building, to be specific. We'll talk about the Spire of Sorcery soon, but I want to leave that as a surprise because it's very important. It's a very unique and important building to us. So now we can get the Spider Lair, and the Spider Lair forms as two functions. One, you can recruit spiders, quite obviously. Secondly, it unlocks the Infestation ability. So a temporary swarm of spiders around the structure that slows nearby enemy attacks and movement speed and deals minor damage. And this is on every single one of your production buildings and recruitment buildings. They are quite valuable. It is quite valuable to have at least one of these here. Yes, its ability is suboptimal, if you want to call it that. But every little helps, and you can't deny having something that can be a nuisance against a very small unit to protect your buildings is good. upgrade to level 3. Again, not going to talk about it yet because I want to save that for later. Let's get Frayne the Broken.
What is this?
Spider Lair. We can create the Fell Brood, which is our cavalry unit, and Sinafra's sister, which has basically has an infestation permanently around her. Well, it. Yeah, her. One of Sinafra's sisters. And then obviously we also get Queen Sinafra, who for those who haven't seen my War in the North or know of the War in the North campaign, or game even, Sinafra was the queen of Mirkwood, or Queen Spider. The Modern AI has left us relatively alone. Yeah, they've destroyed a building and captured a building twice, but other than that, they've been relatively passive. I should be taking that to my advantage and start building out more. Oh, oh no, they're building elves. That's why they've been so passive. They've been building elves. Shade? Wait, is that a hero? No, that's one of our undead from the Barrow. Oh yeah, if they don't kill the Shade, they suffer speed and armor reduction. So yeah, it's a double-edged sword. You want to kill it, so that it no longer gives you the negative buff. If you do kill it, then you get a paralysis effect. So you really can't win either way. You really just cannot win against that Shade. And it doesn't count towards your builder limit either, so you definitely won't confuse it with an actual Shade. We're now going to build our second resource building, the Font of Corruption. Fount of Corruption. Font? No, it would be Fount because it's with a U. More Dunedain. We should have some Fellbrood now. Now the Fellbrood have the ability called Inoculation, which is the other version of Slow Decay, which means they do not suffer from the Slow Decay effects. Yeah, they've already been consumed by it. So they have no problem dealing with that. We also have Chittering Swarm. All Fellbrood gain damage and armor when gathered in numbers of 30 or more. So like the passive orc effects, like the passive orc effects, you get a fun little boost to your units if you swarm with them. Then they have a Shriek. Nearby enemy units enemy cavalry are terrified. Also passively reduces cavalry speed by 15%. And also you can buy the Matriarch when you get the banner carriers from the jail. We're going to upgrade that. And this makes them level 2. You can also purchase the Venom Sacks, which obviously, as you can guess, inflicts poison damage. I don't see them as being good. I don't. I really do not. I do not think they're good because it's still it's okay. I wouldn't say it's garbage, but it is still. They're your cavalry. You don't really want to use them for their poison effects. So, as you can see, the slow decay has really taken a toll on our army. But we don't regenerate. We don't have a well. So, what do you do with all these unfortunate malcontents? Well, once you've purchased the Spire of Sorcery, you get the Necromancy ability. Orc hunters and jailers may be turned into risen dead, fast-moving shock troops that do not suffer from the Necromancer corruption. Also spawns risen dead to defend all with all structures, but that's ability of the structure itself. And we have a hero that is very resemblant to Karsh, called Kargast, which is basically the leader of the risen dead. So you can see this Necromancy ability. Now the unit's gone. And here, oh look, all that damage, and now it's gone, and it's gone. Now these risen dead are all the same. They're all melee infantry, but they're actually really good. Do not underestimate risen dead. They are deceptively strong. Their abilities in Intrepid Corpse. Risen dead are immune to all fear and terror effects because obviously they're dead. It's like the vampire counts in Warhammer. They have immune to all psychology. Dark Sustenance. Risen dead quickly regain health and restore their hordes while outside of combat. So they get So now our units have a well effect, and they can in my fountain corruption before I can talk about it. How dare you? Get carnage. Kill it. Ha ha ha, you fools. Yeah, they're going to destroy it. Okay, let's get a new font of corruption up. It's a good thing I chose Imlodge as my AI enemy, because they seem really bad. No joke. They feel really bad. It might just be the map. The map might have been a great choice on my part. Who knows? I don't. Anyway, you may be wondering why I'm not talking about the heroes yet. I'm leaving that for last, because it's best to just let them level up and then show them all their ability. Tell you all about their abilities. Also, slave mills have a second ability called Refresh Slaves. Spawns a horde of broken rubble at the cost of production for 60 seconds. So if you need a unit to protect a building for a second or two, you can just spawn the unit, and then you'll have it, and it can protect your resource buildings. Very efficient. Obviously, it's only accessible at level 2 structures, but you know. Can't deny a little bit of extra value can always help. They're about to steal my building, and I cannot stop them.
We have lost our structure.
Let's upgrade it so we can get Sinafra Sisters. They require a level 3 structure, so they're difficult to get. Sinafra, we'll talk about you again eventually. Anyway, let's get the jail upgraded as well. And then let's actually talk about the rest of the units from the Guldur jail. Because the other 2 units are actually very powerful. One certain strategy in multiplayer as Guldur is to spam the Orc Ravages, which are strong versus structures and infantry. A unit that's strong against structures at tier 2 is very dangerous to deal with. And I should not have sent those spiders in. I know I made this mistake. Oh well. They're fine, because cavalry charges aren't that punishing in Age of the Ring anymore. I used to always go on about how... Oh wait, no, it was Botter I was complaining about how much the cavalry charges do so much damage, and cavalry in itself feels very unrewarding. But in Age of the Ring it's the exact opposite, and I actually really enjoy it. Come on, Risen Dead, show me that regen.
The living have come.
Look at them. They're just orcs that have been tortured and mutilated. Obviously, they're not good against cavalry. They will lose half their health in a cavalry charge that's decent. But, you know. Oh, yeah. Did I forget to mention that ability that we talked about before, where someone's risen dead to defend the Guldur structure? It doesn't actually mean risen dead. It means Barrow-wights. And you get this ability called the Greater Blight, where everything around the structure suffers massive poison damage for 1200, and is more likely to turn enemies into Barrow-wights. And we all know how powerful Barrow-wights are, with their health steal, their fast move, and their fast attack animation. They are evil little buggers. Yeah, let's get into the Orc Ravages and the Tomb Guard. And also, Guldur is the first faction that only has banner carriers and fire arrows. Mordor originally was the faction from BFME 1 that had only fire arrows and banner carriers, because they gave the Haradrim and the Easterlings all their starting upgrades without needing to well, because yeah. But yeah, Mordor now has the armor and stuff, while Guldur has only got banner carriers and arrows. Because the thing about Guldur is, it's a lot of monsters, elite troops, and units that you want to let die, because they are really not important to you. The units that are coming from the jail, even the Tomb Guard and the Ravages, are not units you upgrade, because they're just basically they're troops that I've just been forced into obedience, like most orcs normally are. But for these, they're not heavily armored. They're just a rabble that's kept in the shadows, which is why you can also see all our buildings are in one way or another ruins that emulate the design of Dol Guldur from the Hobbit movies, and obviously very good representations. Because yeah, they're not like fully made structures that have fully complete walls and such. These are decrepit buildings that have been left in ruins to disguise the fact that these are a very dangerous threat. And the fact that they've done, and the way they've done it, I must admit, I am really impressed with how they did Dol Guldur. When they first came out, I was convinced that Dol Guldur would become my favourite faction. And in a way they are. But Imladris still just is above everything else for me. I love how Imladris is made. And in fact, I don't think I've made anything for Imladris either, so I'll be going to show them off next. Oh, I love it when you get to see 36 resources per tick on a structure. Oh, I miss that. I really do miss that now. You don't get that anymore. You do not get that anymore in structures.
The living have come.
Well, at least not in Edain Mod. So, Orc Ravagers, where have you gone? As you can see, no room for Forged Blades, no room for heavy armor, just black banners and their ability, Appetite for Destruction. Temporarily do not back damage and regain health per hit against structures. That is right. That is a unit that will regain its health from killing structures. It is actually insane how powerful that is. Every time I see it, I think, that can't be right. That cannot be right. That is overpowered. That is overpowered on a galactic level. But yep, it's real. They actually made that a thing on a tier 2 unit, which you can spam, by the way. And then our last unit is the quite unimpressive Tomb Guard. I'm not saying they're unimpressive because they're terrible. They're not. They are really powerful. But compared to the Ravages, they do kind of feel like they kind of feel like second best. Let's get Camel and the Necromancer, because we've just been making so much money. I love it. I love that I'm making so much money and I'm just relaxing in my fortress. You don't normally get to do that against AI in games like this. But when you're playing anything but brutal AI, I find it quite a relaxing experience. I can just lay back and relax, but actually get a feel of difficulty still. Brutal AI though, oh, brutal AI is brutal. It is something else. It's something in itself. It's evil.
The enemy has grown bold.
Come on. So what do the Tomb Guard do? They can turn to a porcupine formation, which only really good against cavalry. And they also have heavy duty. When a Tomb Guard dies, nearby Tomb Guard temporarily gain 15% armor, which stacks. I don't know if that affects any, if it affects the Tomb Guard unit, if one of the Tomb Guards dies, or if it's only other units. I haven't actually looked enough into detail about it enough. But I imagine it does incorporate that to a degree. I'm also remembering now, the reason why doing so well against Imladris is they don't get siege equipment. They get Elven Minstrels, which the AI does not know how to use. So yeah, we just get to sit back and relax. This is like fighting against Angmar in Edain Mod. Camel, we heard all your creepy quotes in the BFME 2 the BFME 2 Age of the Ring campaign. Oh, I love those lights. You'd think with the fire arrows they'd be the normal pitch red. No, they are like they're balefire green, or as I like to call it, Guldur green. You'll only get that if you've played, but if you've looked so much into Lord of the Rings lore as I have. It basically means evil rock. But yeah, the greenness works so well with Guldur. It does. I can't think of any representations that actually show Guldur with like a green malevolent field around about it, or if it was still the same pitch red from places like Mordor. But nonetheless, that's a lot of Castellan heads. Because yeah, Castellan of Guldur. This is why I love Guldur so much, because they get the rabble, they get the trash, they get risen dead, but they also get heavily armored badasses like this, which were originally a Mordor unit, which have now been brought into their home in Guldur. Provides 25% armor to nearby allied structures. Attacking enemy units are poisoned and have reduced armor. Originally, these had no abilities because they were just a unit you would make from the Guldur building over at what's his name? Why is there a troll there? Why is there a troll there? Oh, it's chasing. It was chasing Dunedain. Okay. Where was I? What was I talking about? Castellans, yes. Their second ability, the Armor Castellan becomes immune to damage for 30 seconds but cannot move, attack or heal. So basically, if they're in the middle of a fight and you're about to win it and you're not about to retreat, you can just pop this, it lives and gains experience and then heals afterwards. And then you get Necromantic Blast. Enemy units are blasted back and take damage. Killed units become wraiths. So yeah, a lot of emphasis on making wraiths. And I must admit, it's again why I like this so much, because the ability to make wraiths used to be an Angmar thing, but Angmar doesn't exist in Age of the Ring and never will. And also the more cold, chill effects of Guldur, of the Angmar, have been sent over to the Misty Mountains, such as their new building that makes the Risen Dead of Arnor and the White Wolves. They now exist in Misty Mountains instead of Angmar, because again, Angmar doesn't exist. Unfortunately, no Crash Bandicoots. We don't. Unfortunately, didn't get to see them. Oh, look at that! That feels so pleasing. And let's get ourselves a Sennathra Sister. And our last unit to show off, the Harbingers of Shadow, which is basically your utility unit. Not many factions have utility units like this. There's Rivendell with their I want to say revelers, minstrels or revelers. It's one of the two. It's either it's one. Yeah, it's definitely one of the two. I don't think Rohan gets any of those. Definitely not Gondor. Isengard doesn't get any. Mordor doesn't get any, which is surprising because I think Mordor would have gotten something of everything. But yeah, basically you and Imlargers have these like special units that serve a certain purpose that isn't like infantry, ranged units, artillery. They serve a bit of everything. That's because their abilities are Deep Rock, can cast on a structure to deal damage over time, obviously an enemy structure. At rank 3, spawn several uncontrollable wraiths around the targeted structure. These wraiths last a short time but can turn enemy units into wraiths, so that's very scary. Cold Steel, the Harbinger attack passively decreases armor by 5% and movement speed by 10% per hit. I do believe that doesn't stack, because that would be overpowered. But it could, because it says per hit. It doesn't specify. And then Withering Touch, units within the radius of take damage over time. Affected units affects both enemies and allies. Yeah, another thing to learn about Guldur is they don't care who lives and who dies. Because obviously your first units are broken rabble of humans, elves, and dwarves that have stumbled into Mirkwood. They are there to die and turn into undead. But not in the same way as the jailers and the hunters are, which are again your trash units, which you willingly sacrifice because you know they are just your rabble to make the risen dead, which are also really cool. But then the Ravages and the Tomb Guard are your more... You want to keep them alive because they're really valuable and good. But you're also kind of like, if they die, they die. I don't really care. Better get this before we run out of command points. So I forgot to mention the Fount of Power, Fount of Corruption even. Even though it's a second resource building, it's actually a production building as well. Because you can make the Blighted Trappers, which are woodsmen that have been polluted by a parasitic spore. And then the Corrupted Entwives, which many people are wondering, why Entwives? Well, to think of it lore-wise, what happened to the Entwives that Treebeard mentioned? They went a long time ago. But what actually happened? Well, in this depiction of Age of the Ring, in Age of the Ring, the Entwives stumbled into Mirkwood, one of the other great forests other than Fangorn, which originally inhabited most of the world. Now just a small corner of the world. But yeah, the Entwives were believed to, Age of the Ring says, have said that why not? Let's throw them into Mirkwood, make them corrupted, and that way they have siege equipment without having to actually, put wood and sticks and things together to make a trebuchet, for example. Because every faction has siege equipment in some capacity. Lothlorien has Ents, Gondor has trebuchets, obviously. Mordor has catapults and trolls. Isengard has ballista and explosive mines. The dwarves have their catapults, their battering rams, their demolishers. Goblins have their mountain giant power and their trolls. And we have Entwives. Yeah. That is that. That's the way it is. And yeah, you can just see from every time I keep going back and forth from here how powerful this building is. All manner of infantry are walking into this building, attempting to destroy it, or any of my towers are surrounding it. Get to low health, and then become hostile targets for the rest of the forces to attack. But they also fail, and then they die, and then they get reborn. And then our building remains intact. Dol Guldur is very, very capable of defending. I mean, they are really good at it. Oh, they only restore health at rank 2. Okay. That makes a bit more sense. We are making a bit of absurd amounts of money now. I think we might be making too much. I think it's time we start revealing the end game. Or unraveling the end game anyway. So let's talk about all the upgrades for the Dol Guldur Fortress, even though I've already bought them. Swarm of Bats, as you can guess, same as Bat Swarm, same as Krebine, same as Kark's Flock, whatever you want to call it for the dwarfs, if they get one anymore. It just gives extra range and vision detection of stealth units. Pale Torches allows all your, gives your buildings fire arrows, which you can see are now inhabited on all our structures. Then we have the Guldur Palantir, which I used previously to show that area. And it's basically just a Farsight or a Palantir of Saruman. But it also poisons enemies in its range slightly. The Dark Encroachment, I don't remember what that does. I think that is that poison effect right now. Or, no, that's the Blight. The Blight effect is basically giving our fortress the Blight effect that the Spire of Sorcery gets. And allows us to get the Hill of Sorcery ability, which increases fortress armor and allows the use of the ensnarement ability. And with this, we can take control of enemy units within the radius. So we've got a temporary so we've got a worm tongue ability on our fortress, which once we use it, after the duration is complete with the corruption, we then all those units get poisoned and take some pretty big damage as well. So yeah, we are quite defensible, and we get 3 different buildings: the Unquiet Ruin, the Boneyard expansion, and the Forlorn Statue. So Unquiet Tower just fires arrows like a normal tower. Resident will emerge and attack nearby enemy units from the Boneyard expansion, which is basically just like the Wolf Den. And then Forlorn Statue. Nearby enemies suffer damage and armor reductions, causes enemy units to flee in terror, and may purchase Restless Bone upgrades, which allows the Forlorn Statue to summon a horde of skeletal warriors. So basically this is the most powerful of the abilities of the expansions, but also the most expensive, because it does 3 different things. It does I've already forgotten what it does. It gives a debuff. It's what's the name? It's the House of Lamentation from Angmar. It's the statue from Mordor, which makes everything flee in terror. And then it can also summon a unit to protect it, like what this building is doing right now. So there's also a mix of Risen Dead and this is both called Risen Dead. Yeah, purchase Risen Bones upgrades, allow the Fallen Statue to summon a horde of skeletal warriors. So all in all, 750 for all its upgrades, and its cost is definitely worth it when it's finished upgrading. Anything else to mention? Oh, I haven't shown the Snafra's sister. Is she still alive? There's Snafra. I don't see her sister. Oh, I built too many Entwives. Well, basically, all she does is she can tunnel at a certain level, level 3, similar to normal Queen Sinafra. And she can, and as I said before, she has a permanent infestation around her, which just slows enemy units, their attack, and such. Is this finished now? Yes. Does this not have a... Okay, no, it does have a range. It does have a range, people. And yet, these do not last long. Something they could have done is make it so their health depletes instead of their timer. That should be something that they try to remove from Dog Guldur personally, in my opinion. Is just get the units. I mean, it's gonna. I don't think they'll be able to do it like. Actually, now I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking more of a Warhammer feel, not a Battle for Middle Earth feel. I imagine it would be quite difficult to make a unit that's slowly dying passively, but also has a timer on it. Because yeah, there could be ways to heal them indefinitely and keep them alive. Yeah, disregard what I said. Disregard what I said. I'm dumb sometimes. In fact, we could get a Sinafra sister if I build another production building and don't build the extra Entwives. So I've got 2 more from over there. So yeah, that's everything that Dog Guldur has to offer military. Oh wait, the Blighted Trappers. I didn't show them off. I looked at them for a second and then I looked away from them. They've got to still be alive. Harbingers, Tomb Guard. There they are, Blighted Trappers. Nope. Entwives. No. Blighted Trappers. First ability, they've got Inoculation as well, so they don't suffer from the slow decay. Noxious Start, temporary deal poison damage and deals additional damage to structures. So another structure damage dealing unit. And then Parasitic Embrace. Arting the target and become infected and lose vision, range damage and reload speed for a short time. I'm slowly losing my breath. I should be wrapping this up now. So we're going to now go on to the Entwives. The Tumorous Acorn. Once Entwives are killed, they drop a Tumorous Acorn, which will respawn the Entwife if left alone. We also get the Twisted Bounty. Entwives can enter the fount to grant it 10% resource production. So if you build nothing but founts, you can get up to 8 Entwives. Put one in each, you will get an extra
It seems
free resources. Yeah, that's not worth it. You can, yeah, I say that's not worth it. Don't bother with that. So we've been through we've been through buildings, we've been through all the units. Let's now go through heroes. First hero you can buy, Frame the Broken, our scout hero. He only has 3 passive abilities. He really is just a shadow of what he once was. Diminish. Frame is but a thin shadow of his former self and is able to skulk about unnoticed. So he's basically got a passive stealth ability, which makes him very hard to notice unless you're fighting him hand to hand in battle. Just quickly go back and get the Snapper Sister. I might as well show it off for a little bit. Dark Memories. Broken Rabble near Frame gain experience and armor. At level 6 grants additional experience and armor. So if you do like to just go Broken Rabble, I guess that's an okay ability, but they're Broken Rabble. You don't really want to level them up because they're gonna die before they can level up. That's the point of them. You don't want them to live because you need them to die. I mean, you might want them level 2 so that when they do die, they give you the extra power of their ability, which I haven't actually shown yet, which turns them into basically Risen Dead, but with slightly different abilities.
What manner of food contests
Cockroach hounds, deal with them. Anyway, back to Frayne. His last ability is No Escape. When Frayne reaches low health, he becomes temporarily invulnerable. He is an absolute bitch to fight. You might have remembered in the Lothlorien video I did, the 2v2v2, Frayne was so annoying to kill. I got him to half health, but then when he went invulnerable, and I was like, what can I do now? I guess I'll have to wait. Anyway, quick look at Snapper Sisters. They've got Inoculation, they can burrow, and they have the Ensnare Webs, which disables buildings and gives them low damage over time effects. Anyway, next hero. Our first hero, Crimpol. I showed his ability before, but I didn't really mention what it did. He's an Orcish chief. Summons battalions of jailers. At level 3, he then summons hunters as well. And at level 7, he summons a battalion of Ravages. So in total, we can get hunters, jailers, and Ravagers. But the Ravagers don't get their ability, so they're only as good as normal Ravagers at level 1. The Master's Command. Crimpol has been tasked with retrieving the Rings of Power. Deals damage against, more damage against Gandalf the White, Elrond, Galadriel, and Thorin. At rank 3, his strikes also lower the armor of enemies within a small radius by 5% up to 25%. So he is your hero killer, but not as any hero killer. The 4 elite heroes of the 4 good factions, not including Rohan. Yeah. Oh. Then we get the Dungeon Master. Summons a small jail that casts Dark Presence and can recruit Broken Rabble. It may seem pointless, but you can recruit about 3 units of Broken Rabble from this before it basically falls apart. Demolish it, you get nothing from it, but you do get Dark Presence. So if you're going to start off with jailers and Broken Rabble spam, then yeah, that's just a nice ability to have at level 5. And at level 8, he can imprison an enemy hero, which is basically a cripple shot at melee, but also cause surrounding enemy units to cower in fear and can't be cast on monsters, ring heroes, LSR, and Tom Bombadil. Because Bombadil's just too OP. LSR is just too badass to be imprisoned. Monstrous heroes like Sinafra are just too big to go in a tiny prison like Gandalf was in before. And the ring heroes... I'll actually roll the ring heroes again. Oh yeah, Frodo, Sam technically isn't. But Frodo, Bilbo, Sauron, and Smaug. And the Necromancer in his darker form. We'll talk about that soon. We'll talk about that soon. Next, Kargas, the leader of the Risen Dead. First ability is a Barrow Lord. Nearby enemies are slowed passively by 30%. This radius of effect increases each time with each level. So basically, they made Karsh's ability to poison and slow, makes it only slow, and makes it bigger depending on how leveled up Kargas is, but can also be activated to do a heavy strike against a target enemy, draining some life and knocking them down. If that was the original ability of Karsh, I think Karsh would be a lot more balanced. Next, he has March of the Dead. Nearby friendly undead gain 50% movement speed and 30% experience. Notice how it says undead, because that means the Risen Dead units, and also the dead from the Broken Rabble that when they die at level 2. I don't think there are any other actual undead units. Unless the Hunters of Shadow are cast... no, they're classed as sorcerers, evil men. They're not dead beings. They're still living, which is why Kargas doesn't give them a boost. But the Castellans, maybe. The Castellans, maybe. I can't confirm that because there's no way of telling. Next, we've got Cursed Treasure. Target structure earns more resources, but all nearby units have reduced armor for a short time. Can work donuts on any building. And by the way, that's a medallion from Pirates of the Caribbean. So this now makes, instead of 21, it makes 41. So that's an extra 20 resources from one building. That's pretty good. But also, all armor of all enemy units is down by a lot. But as it said, can target enemy resource structures. So you can target on any resource structure, and then you have like a power you want to use. Then Archer spam or Entwife spam, whatever. Just kill a lot of things. Give them a bit of resources in return. Why not? Spell of the Barrows. Target enemies flee in terror. All Risen Dead in the target area deal extra damage. And then finally, Dark Awakening. I think this is a really cool power, but it's very hard to control because you don't have like a waypoint ability with it. Kargas slowly but continuously summons temporary single restless warriors from the earth, but can't move or attack. That's Kargas, not the actual Risen Dead. The restless warriors, and that's the name of the Broken Rabble when they die. Relentless warriors, restless warriors. The Risen Dead are the jailers, the orcs. So all in all, I'd say Kargas is probably, if Krimpel was weaker, I would say Kargas would be the go-to for your starting hero if you start with a lot of resources. How am I at 23,000? Anyway, Queen Senafra. She starts with a burrow, that's right. Oh yeah, it's not actually level 2, it's meant to be level 1. Oh no, it was level 1, it's now level 2. They changed that from 5.0 to 5.1. She's now required her to be level 2, so you can't instantly get her, throw her right into the enemy base, and then level her up. You have to level her up first before you can do that. Then you have Feast, my children. Enemy units within the radius are slowed and take increased damage from spiders. Very cool ability. And at level 6, also summons a horde of Fellbrood, which is basically the original summon Spiderling power, but summons the slightly more creepy Fellbroods. Then you get Web of Lies, cause target enemies to become hostile towards each other. That's right. This spider has an ability that requires a level 10 Mouth of Sauron. Or at least used to. I don't know if he still has it. I haven't played Mordor in a long time. Like on Guldur, Senafra possesses an insatiable hunger for flesh and precious objects. Senafra can now trample and steal resources when dealing damage to enemy units and structures. When activated, Senafra regains 30% health. So it's a heal when you need it. But you'll also notice Senafra doesn't actually have a trample to begin with, which is really good. Because you don't really want her to have trample, because then she takes more damage to pikes, which makes her better than Shelob originally was in vanilla. So again, if Kargas and Krimpol were weaker, I would recommend go Senafra and just go Spider Spam, because she is also really good and has a slowing effect and makes her Fellbroods better. And then at level 5, she has a what's the word? Descent. Or Deceit, whatever it's called. For Mouth of Sauron. So she is really powerful. Next we have the Shadow of the East, Camel the Easterling, without his core helmet. I don't think he gets that core helmet in this rendition, which is a bit sad. But obviously we can dismount him like every other Nazgul. Unfortunately not onto a Fell Beast, that is restricted for the Witch King only. Then we get a Screech, which has a nice green aura instead of the, I think, bluish or reddish aura. I don't know what the aura is for the normal Screech. Then, like the rest of the Nazgul, he has Black Breath. As more Nazgul gather, their strength grows. 10% and 10% damage and armor per ring wraith nearby. You may be thinking, but there's only one Nazgul. We'll get into that later. I don't think we're going to find the ring. But if we, I'll check afterwards if there was a chance we could find it. We probably couldn't. But we'll talk about that later. Also, nearby enemy units suffer damage and armor reduction. And level 6, this also causes damage over time because that's what the Black Breath was. It was basically the ultimate deterrent. Those that were struck by the Nazgul would suffer from the Black Breath, which would slowly kill them. And the only real way to heal it was with Athelas. Again, another War of the Ring bit of knowledge for you. Next we have Lieutenant of Dol Guldur. I was going to say Khan Doom then. Camel takes on his role as the Lieutenant of Dol Guldur. Nearby undead gain damage. And level rank 5. Oh, at rank 5 he dons his armor. Granting him 50% armor. Okay, well, so we've got one more level to go until then. Then level 8, the Black Easterling. Camel and nearby friendly units gain damage and speed, but lose 50% armor and gain no experience for a short time. Also summons 4 single ancient Easterlings, which I think are some of the most badass units. Like the Castellans, badass units. If this was more based around... I don't even know. If this was based more around the Divide and Conquer version of Dol Guldur, then we would have even more cool looking like Easterling units that would follow Camel. And then finally we have the Necromancer. The one and only. That's right, we get Sauron and you don't, Mordor. Suck it unless you got the ring. So his first ability, Dark Presence. Empower. Yep. He is himself a Dark Presence, which is mobile, which is why he's 3000. He is really good. He is really, really, really good. Next he has Lord of Wolves. Summons a large black warg. A wolf. No, it is a warg. Although I think it should be a wolf, not a warg. But yeah, either way, it's permanent and he can lunge. I don't think it was originally permanent. I think that's a new thing. Yeah, deals strong damage to a single enemy and temporarily causes temporary bleeding. The warg is healed for a small amount. Then we have the Abhorred Dread. The Necromancer casts a necromantic spell on enemies within a radius, dealing heavy damage and resurrecting the dead as risen dead under the player's control. At rank 6 is increased damage, and at rank 8 can cast on Restless Barrows to summon a horde of Restless Warriors, respects command point limit, and at rank 10 increased damage again. The Karma used while using Shapeless Malice, which is the next ability. Shapeless Malice, the Necromancer becomes incorporeal, allowing him to move quickly across the map while terrifying nearby enemy units. Shapeless Malice does not allow him to attack. So, I think he can still be attacked in this form, but he can't attack in that form. And then he has his last ability, Read and Flame, when he removes his shadowed form and becomes a form, erupts in flame, blasting back enemies and setting the surrounding area on fire. And again, it can't be used with Shapeless Malice. So, overall, they've sent a hero now. They sent Glorfindel. Okay, they're just gonna let him stay there. Let's move the army. Let's get to the end now. We've had our fun. It's time to end the elves. All it took was us attacking them, and they decided to finally spam out units. So yeah, that is everything that Dol Guldur has to offer. We've mentioned all the units. So overall, You always want to get your jail out first, and just have some broken rabble because they're slightly cheaper than the jailers. Once you've got out enough of the slave mills, then you want to transition into jailers and hunters because they're cheaper. Then you want to go into oh yeah, these only affect the reduce the cost of basic orcs. So your Ravages and Tomb Guard are not affected by this cost reduction. They're always going to be 600 and always going to be 800. Don't really want to. You can, if you're going to play against play aggro playstyle, just go straight to tier 2 and Ravager style it, the enemy base, and they actually got through. Okay, well, I'm about to summon the Undead Troll. Oh yeah, I haven't actually talked about all the powers. Okay. Carnage. I've already, as you can guess, it's our War Chant, dealing extra damage, but at the cost of armor. Again, we don't care about our units, so reduction of armor, no problem. Don't follow the lights. We've already talked about a lot. Summons a Spirits of the Dead Marshes, which is a Tethered Shade, and when it dies, it paralyzes all enemies around it, like Devastation used to do. Chill of the Grave. Enemy units are slowed and take damage over time. The damage over time effect is just niche. It's not actually something you should consider using to try and kill units. It's to slow them down. They have the Forest of Fear, which gives all our units vision range. That's right, no armor, no attack, vision range, because we are ambushers in every sense of the way, in every sense of the word. And also spawns a large unit of wild spiders, which I believe they do have vision, so they give a so that's basically a Palantir effect in a forest that makes units and slows them down. That is the ultimate multi-purpose spell. Then you also have Dark Hysteria, which makes hostile, which again is another hysteria effect, which makes enemies attack each other. Yeah, it's causes target times to become hostile towards all allies. Be careful though, because that can also affect your units. Be very careful when doing that. It doesn't specify on enemy units, it's target battalions. Then you have the spell of concealment. Friendly units and structures within the area become stealthed. That's right, they finally made the fog from Lothlorien good by making it affect structures as well. The spell of concealment. We have darkness, which cancels all the new things now because there's so many different names. There's Western Winds, Freezing Rain, Ere the Sun Rises, Blessing of Ulmo, Blessing of Monway, Durin's Day, White Winter, or Darkness. Western Winds is Gondor's Cloudbreak. Freezing Rain is Isengard's... well, all the weather effects. Gondor, Isengard, Rohan. Blessing of Ulmo would be... forget it. But yeah, gives units damage and armor like normal darkness does. Then Wither disables and damages structures in a radius. Then Monstrosity summons an armored undead troll, which we just used. And the last two abilities, which I think are both incredibly powerful and worthy of being tier 4 powers. Bane of the Greenwood summons a corrupted ancient spirit of the forest under your control, which, for anyone who doesn't know what it is, that is the original Crash Bandicoot model, which has been greatly adapted to look amazing. And you kind of had a sneak peek of it in the end of the part 5 video of the Evil campaign. And yeah, it is so cool. And they've also got the Gift of the Necromancer. Summons a controllable swirling green mist. All units, friend or foe, or friends and foe, take damage and are turned into white upon death. That is right. I did not make a mistake there.
We are under
Yeah,
attack.
very good. Oh, also Spawn of Karkaroth makes the wargs that we saw before, and a wolf, a great alpha. And then this troll can hook enemies and also spew bile. And this armor of nearby enemies is reduced by 15%, and the undead monstrosity explodes if not killed before its timer runs out. The explosion knocks down down nearby enemies and leaves a cloud of poisonous fumes. So again, another poison effect.
Has been reduced to dust.
Oh, and the enemy forces is down. Too easy. Didn't even need to look. Let's use the Abhorred Dread. Screech again before we end it. Spell of the Barrow. And it's over before I get to show off any of my tier 4 powers. So yeah, all in all, I do see Guldur as being very, very powerful. It got nerfed a little. Obviously, as I mentioned, Sinatra used to have Burrow at level 1. It's now level 2. At least it says it's level 2. Who knows if it actually is or not. So in the future, I'm going to be making more Age of the Ring mod videos. Next will probably be an Enlargris overview. I've did Enlargris once in the second Play Till You Crash game. And other than that, I guess I haven't shown off Rohan much either. Again, that was the intro video for Age of the Ring. We did well, but obviously didn't talk much about them. We'll get into all of that in the future. So until next time, everyone, I hope you've all enjoyed, and ta-ta for now.